Welcome to Methods and Instance Variables. Today we're going to be taking a look at what methods are, what instance variables are, and then an example that relates to a car. And the reason we're going to be looking at this example today is so that you get a better understanding of these two core concepts. When you speak of these concepts abstractly, it can tend to get a little bit ambiguous and complicated. But when you look at an example, it makes perfect sense. So let's start off by taking a look at methods. So as you remember, a class contains methods and it contains fields. So the methods are like the functions of the class or the abilities of the class or what the class does. So if you have let's say you have a blueprint for a pencil, and that's the class. The class is a blueprint for a pencil. So some of the methods of this blueprint of the pencil could be writing and erasing. So then an object, as you know, an object is an instance or a build of the class. So an object would be an actual pencil and the class would be a blueprint for a pencil. And these objects, they can call methods. So the pencil can use the method of writing or use a method of erasing. But the one thing is, the pencil object itself, it doesn't know how this writing is possible or how this erasing is possible. It doesn't know what type of rubber is used or what type of lead is used. So the class contains the implementation for these different methods, and then the objects simply call these methods. Next, let's look at instance variables. So instance variables, as I meant, are the fields of the class or the data or the attributes of the class. And then these objects contain these instance variables. So back to the pencil blueprint. The blueprint for the pencil could contain the color yellow, it could contain a length of 5 inches or anything. And then these objects, which is the actual build of the class, so the actual pencil could be 5 inches and it could be yellow in color. But the blueprint isn't that. The blueprint is simply a blueprint for the pencil itself, and the pencil actually contains these instance variables. Now this may seem a little bit confusing, so let's look at an example of a car and then we'll be able to better understand this concept. So let's say we have a blueprint for a car, and this blueprint represents the class. And this car blueprint contains many features and abilities. So it contains abilities of driving, it contains it has a red color, it has a specific weight, and some of its abilities include driving. Now, in the blueprint, we go over how are we going to make it drive, what type of engine we're going to use, and what type of mechanics we're going to use. And then cars are the objects itself. So a car object, which is built based on this blueprint, can use all the features and abilities listed in the blueprint. So it can have a yellow color, it can accelerate, drive, but it does not contain any of the complications. So it doesn't have any of the, nobody knows, it doesn't know anything about its engine or what its internal complications are. That's all part of the class. So an object does not have any of this information. So the features of the car in this case represent instance variables. They're like the adjectives. And then the abilities represent the methods or the verbs. And so this is an example of a car where we can see that the car blueprint or the class contains all of the implementation and the complicated stuff. And the car or the object simply has all the features and abilities but doesn't know anything about what's internally going on.